Hey, Scott Austin here from Jade Puma, and I am here to give you some feedback and advice for your site. I'm going to probably bounce around a lot because there's a lot going on here. I have a lot of thoughts, right? I've been looking at your site for a little bit of time here. Um, First, I think things are going to fall into a couple different buckets, right? One is going to be about your brand. The second is going to be about helping people find the right product. And the third is probably going to be about helping them, make the decisions at the product level, right? And inform them about the product choices they have. So let's start off with the brand one. Usually I work from the bottom up. For your site, I'm going to start with the top down, right? So our brand is, we have this, yellow color scheme. We got this, fun little logo. And I see that consistently done, the yellow in the buttons. We do have this red chat button. I don't know why that red is so bright and dominant. Maybe you're just trying to make it noticeable. Now I can't close that dang thing because there we go. But, if we go into checkout, for example, so here we have this, this black, this softer black. I don't know what hex code that is. Is it a 333? 3F hex code. We also look like we're using that down at the bottom here. Is that the same color? No, that's a 222. So there's an inconsistency in the shade of black that we're using. And then if we go into checkout, we have, it looks like 000 black. Yeah, 000. So there's a lot of inconsistency in the blacks, at least, right? And there's no reason for in the checkout this to be so black, right? We've lost the defined lines of our logo. It's, this isn't very visible. There's a contrast issue. I don't know why this is so in your face kind of thing. So what I like to do for a store, just to show you an example, let's go to Mulberry. I like to define what the brand guidelines are for a store. I actually have a little template that I make for all my clients, right? And we actually say, all right, here's our color scheme, right? And we can have more than one shade of black, absolutely, but we only use these colors on the site. And that consistency is one of those things that helps build your brand. Consistency is really, really important in looking professional, right? And the more professional you look, the more confidence and trust your customers are going to have in you. So I would say there's a lack of consistency in your execution of your brand. You probably need to define your brand. Like, why is this red there? I'm going to give you another example. What I like to do is on my product pages, I like the add to cart button to be the brightest button on the whole site, right? The most dominant thing. And, unfortunately what happens is when you add the extra payment options, the accelerated checkout stuff, your theme takes your bright yellow color and makes it this outline one, which I cannot stand. Most themes do that. I actually put custom code in there to bring it back to showing the primary color, and I make the add to cart button a different color than your other buttons on your site, and I make it the most bright dominant. I would actually make it that red kind of thing. But overall, talking about the brand, from the colors, you need to define your colors more strongly. Also, our fonts are, this one here is 400 weight font, a standard weight. Then this is bold. So things aren't popping as well. See how this is bold? It's nice that we bolded this, but, just the fact that our product title is not bold and other elements are, it's kind of an inconsistency, or, it just, things don't pop. There's not a structure and a hierarchy to the content on the site there because of little things like that. And another thing is, I'm a full believer when it comes to a brand that you have to tell your story about who you are and what you are. And that's really, really important, right? Because what you'll see happen a lot of times is people will add something to their cart, and then the next thing they do is they then check out, let me learn more about the company. Who am I buying from? So I've decided I want to buy something. Now let me see if this company and the who, the brand, aligns with my values also, right? So I'm going to assume here, let me see. Let's go to terms and conditions and see if I can verify this. What theme are you using? I'm searching in another page right now, on another screen, looking for theme. Let's see if I can tell what theme you're in. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. Oh, okay, you're in Retina. So Retina's not a bad theme. I haven't played with Retina much lately. Because, little nitpick here is, I don't like this narrow width thing that the theme is doing on this page. But that's not what I'm on this page for. So what I'm looking for right now is I'm trying to see your address. Yeah, see, you don't show your address. Let's see if it's on the contact us. So Mountain Standard Time. So I'm going to assume you're in the United States. Right? And that's an assumption I'm making right now because you're not telling me that anywhere. Let's go back to your About page, right? So the point here is, as an American company who's doing custom products and non-custom products also, right? The story you tell is a really important part of your brand. And you actually do a pretty good job in some places here in using some keywords, right? Small, family-owned, and operated. That sounds great. Started in the basement of our family home in 1984. That sounds great. But I don't believe you, right? And the reason I don't believe you is this is a stock photo, right? This is a photo of your product, not of your people. So what I always say, and this is a stock photo, right? What I always say is on the About Us page, I want to see babies and dogs, right? Because babies and dogs prove you're human and that you're a family, and if you don't have dogs, you don't have babies, that's fine. But let me show you an example of this. Let's just go to Titan Survival. I haven't looked at this site in a long time. Because what I told them, I said, I want to see babies and dogs on your About Us page. So meet our team. And Jared, all right, so here's Jared and his grandson. Here's Jared's wife and their 3 kids. Now, there's no dog here, but, this is a human being out following her passion. Taurus has his dog in it, and Michaela has her dog. So this is a family-owned business, right? And these are real good human beings who, I read a little bit about them, and it establishes more trust, right? So your story sounds good. Right? I think you have the kernel of it, right? But you should build on that, and so this About Us page should be about the people at the company and the origin of the company, the origin story, right? And that's what you're trying to do here. Let me give you another example of this. I think this is so important, right? So if you go to Spiral Light Candles, and we go to their About page, they have the best About photo I've ever seen. When they gave me this one, I just giggled. I was so happy about it, right? Because, how cute is this, right? So, and their origin story is that dad, right, was starting making candles as a hobby with his youngest daughter. And that's what they start talking about here. They started making candles, and then, they turned it into a family-run business. So, here you see family, 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 right? And, they're in Minnesota or wherever it is, and they talk about that. So this is real and authentic, right? This doesn't feel real and authentic. So make it about the people, the origin story. Like when you talk about starting in your basement, your family home in 1984, I want to see a photo of that, right? Show me that, that 1984 in your basement, making windsocks with a sewing machine or whatever, kind of thing, and then, talking about product specs, not important. Talk about the people and how you got started and why you're doing this, and bring this to life with real, authentic photos. And absolutely, definitely talk about the fact you're an American company, right? You're probably, although I see you're selling everywhere, you're probably predominantly selling to Americans. And, it's not that you're an American company. It's actually that you're not a crappy Chinese company, right? So if you were Canadian, same thing. If you were in Peru, same thing. Highlight the fact you're not a crappy Chinese company. And the fact you're small and family owned. This is what you guys do. This is all you specialize in, which we're going to talk a lot about as we go on here. You're doing some things really well, by the way. But that's all, you want to highlight the story and really bring it to life. That is super, super important, right? So I think that's enough for branding for now. Now let's talk about your shopping experience, right? So, no, let's talk about one more thing about branding. And that's this banner image right here, right? What I want this to be in most stores, and a lot of stores have a hard time listening to me about this. Let me tell you, a lot of people are trying to sell on this banner image. And my point is that you shouldn't sell. You should have a "You Are Here" map that says, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is who we service. So if that's not what you're looking for, you're in the wrong place. All right, let me give you an example of that. Chame Valley Meat Co. So these guys sell beef and yak, and we actually talked a lot about this image, right? Now, this is a stock photo, right? They're working on photography. They haven't done a photo shoot yet, so this is just stock photo. But the best tasting steak ever. We went round and round on, what is their value prop, what is their differentiator, yada, yada, yada. And if you're not looking for the best tasting steak ever, like they actually had someone contact them and like wanted them to be competitive against Walmart on their ground beef price. And like, no, that's not what we are. We're actually the most expensive place you're going to buy things. We're the Bentley of steak. So putting that stake in the ground, no pun intended, right? That lets people know that, if you're looking for, value, if you want to be price competitive, you're in the wrong place kind of thing. Let's look at another one, the Game Steward. So these guys sell, they got their Black Friday promo up here. This is not their normal banner. They just do this. They only do one sale a year, and it's for Black Friday, which is tomorrow. But this is their normal banner, right? So they sell board games that are found on Kickstarter. So they help fund Kickstarters by like buying 100 of them at a time. So they actually say, your second chance at Kickstarter games, because the games they're selling, the Kickstarter campaign has already ended. So this is the only place you can come get those games now. They put their faces on there, Dan and Michael. And this is actually a dynamic counter that every game they support, this goes up by one, because they believe that they've supported more Kickstarters for games than anybody else in the industry. So, they're emphasizing what their value prop is. If you're looking for board games that are Kickstarter funded, you're in the right place. If you're looking for, brand name board games, wrong place kind of thing. So for you, you need to think about what is your value prop for your customers. And then I would put your value prop there. Like, this is, the be-all, end-all source of Windsocks, or, express yourself, or be safe, whatever it is, right? And the shorter you make that, right, the better it's going to be. A lot of people try to and this, and that, and that. And they try to put, 4 different value props into this one statement. And that's why, with Chama, let's go back to Chama, even though I took it off the screen. When we came up with the best tasting steak ever, because we debated a whole bunch of things, right? And by the way, they have lamb, which is not steak, right? And they sell kidneys, which is not steak. But so we simplified it. And we're like, the best tasting steak ever. That's the stake in the ground they wanted to put. They're like, we're the best. We're the best from a taste standpoint. Because they started off with, regenerative practices, grass-fed, grass-finished. And, as we're talking about all those things, those are all means to an end. And the end was the taste of the steak. So that's a fun exercise to go through, is to figure out what your, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. What is your shortest? And I actually don't even know. Let's go to jadepuma.com and see if I've done this on my site. Accelerate your Shopify business. 4 words, right? And then I say San Diego's top-ranked Shopify expert. I should probably pull the San Diego off. About 1/4 of my customers are local. But that's what I did in the early days to rank for San Diego, which still works for me. But, a really short thing, right? Accelerate your Shopify business. And I'm putting a stake in the ground. I only do Shopify, right? Kind of thing. So for you, what is it that you do? What is the value prop? What is the uniqueness for your customers? And put that, and by the way, all your banners drive me nuts because they go beyond the screen, right? So I don't know if the Retina theme allows you, by the way, to have a different cropping of your photo. Oh yeah, that looks awful, doesn't it? Wow, let's refresh that. So now we've lost our color logo for some reason. Your hamburger's up there, which is unusual. Usually the logo is in with the top bar, or the hamburger bar. I don't know why it's not. That just looks really weird, right? But you've got these images. You're using one image for desktop and mobile, which means it's an awful experience for both. So if your theme allows you, do a different image for desktop and have your desktop one. Oh, that's weird. So let's refresh again. I just want to go back to that one and see if it does the same thing. It might just be because I went from mobile view to desktop view. Yeah, it's just because I went from mobile view, so it's not weird there. But you want your images to not have to scroll to see the whole image, right? And you've got this sticky header, which I'm not a fan of sticky headers. People like them. I don't understand why. And I would also take your top nav and make it full width because you've got this, weird wrapping thing going on here. But now let's talk about your shopping experience and how people find the right sock for them, the right Windsock for them. So you got Windsocks, stock Windsocks, you got custom Windsocks, stock Windsocks, Windsock frames, flags. No need for contact us up here. You already got contact info up here, which I would put this to be a value prop, not a contact, right? So here's another way of saying this: like people, your website should literally have every piece of information that customers ever ask you. They should be able to find whatever they're looking for. They should never have to call you to get information. Now they may call you because they're confused or they prefer to talk or whatever. I'm not saying you shouldn't have them call you, but everything that they were ever going to ask should be on your site somewhere, right? So the contact us should be the last option, not the first option. And here we've got contact, right? We want them to engage in a shopping experience right now, not contacting us. And, maybe the one reason is maybe you do get a lot of calls, which is why you put it there, but that's probably because your shopping experience is so confusing, right? Which, like I said, we're going to talk about here. So custom Windsocks, stock Windsocks. I'm going to stick with those for a minute, right? So let's go into novelty Windsocks. And so this looks to me like it's custom. This looks to me custom. This looks to me custom. So let's look at this one. So this one's not custom. So I went to stock and then novelty. And the first thing I got was, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. And 2 of them, or 3 of them are custom, right? So we've got these buckets up here. And what I like about, navigation experience is you're letting customers make a decision. What you want them to do is make as few decisions at a time as possible, usually one at a time. So right now, if I'm just thinking Windsocks, forget, flags and frames, I've got custom or stock, right? So that's the choice I'm making. So when I make that choice, you need to respect that. And you're not right now, right? So I go to novelty. Let's go to American and state flag Windsocks. So those don't look custom to me. That's good. That's stock stuff, right? And you would actually ask the question about stock. So the airport one takes me straight to a product, which is totally fine. So airport aviation striped Windsocks and orange Windsocks, FAA compliant. So FAA compliant, are these airport also? Or what's the use cases for this, right? Because here it says airport. So, under my stock is one of the things I should look at first is airport. And then when I pick airport, then I can see, I've got the option between striped and non-striped, right? I'm not sure here what's going on. So because right here, if I'm making a choice between this one and this one, I'm making 2 choices at the same time. And I don't realize that until after I do it. Choice number 1 is I'm making a choice for a airport windsock, and choice number 2, solid orange or striped, right? So once I'm making choices, and I'm not sure, it's not clear that I'm making those choices here, right? And you're let's see this here. Yeah, there's no reason that this text needs to be the same as this text right up here, right? Because this says Windsocks at the top. So none of these down here, the word Windsocks should not appear down below because I'm already looking at Windstocks. So you want to simplify things and make it clearer for people. Less words that express the differences between things, not words that show how they're all the same, right? So pull the word windsock out of each one of them, right? But maybe what we do for stock windsocks is there's 3 choices: airport, American and state flags, American and state flag, and then novelty, right? And if I click on airport, let's see what happens when I click on stock windstocks. Yeah, okay, so I click on stock windsocks, and it says customizable stock windsocks, the custom windsock company. There's no need to put your company name on your collection page. You might be doing that for SEO purposes. There's other ways to do that. That's just confusing. So here's another thing is a lot of SEO best practices actually make the customer experience worse, right? So you have to be clear, when you're doing something for SEO that hinders your customer experience, that it's the right place and time to do that. And in my opinion, you never want to have SEO take precedence on a collection page or a product page. Absolutely, you can do it on a blog article or a landing page and those kind of things. But on the collection pages and the product pages, customer experience is number one. SEO is a secondary consideration. And I'm not a fan of Quick Shop, by the way. Especially let's go to your state flag one. Your Quick Shop, that's just way too confusing, right? So much going on there. Take them to a page to do that. I'm a big fan of just turning Quick Shop off. Also on collection pages, reviews really don't help that much. Because most of the time, you're going to have 5-star reviews on everything, and the number of reviews, like on Amazon at this level, on a collection level, reviews make a difference because you want to see a popular, you're looking at 15 different sneakers that are your size, right? You look for black size 13 running shoes or whatever, right? And then you see, this one's got 2,000 reviews, and this one's got 4. And this one has a 3.8, and this one's got a 5.0. Those are decision-making tools for you. In your store, in most Shopify stores, that's not the case because your products are so different. You're not looking at 15 pairs of black size 13 running shoes. And the differences between the products are going to drive your decisions, not the differences in the reviews. And, we talked before about consistency for your brand. Consistency here would be consistency in your product photography. As you can see, right, this one's not bad. They're all the same aspect ratio. Let's see if another one shows it worse. That's awful, and we'll talk about why later. All right, let's just go to your all. What I wanted to see was I wasn't sure why, right? This text here, right? Here it's on the same line, here it's not. Is that because the review thing is messing it up? So your images look to be consistent in the same aspect ratio, even though the inconsistency behind them is the fact that, this is an image with a background, but the background doesn't take the full image size. This is an image with a white background. So they're very inconsistent. And, what you want to think about. So you're showing a lot of, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So let me go back. So what you also need is on your collection pages, let's just go to our novelty one. you don't have any tools over to the side, right, for decision making. And what I mean by that is filters. So if you go to my podcast, I did one recently. I think it's, easy episode 115. Easy yet powerful filters in your Shopify store. And that allows you to show the differences between your products, like heavy duty, light duty, customizable, this is polyester, this is cotton. I don't know if there's material differences, but whatever the differences for your different things are, you could highlight those. And if you did that, maybe you wouldn't need so many, these menus are really confusing, right? And once again, right, so this is custom Windsocks. So we got heavy duty or lightweight. That's a decision. So, that's interesting. I just realized something that, so there's no lightweight aviation, right? There's no lightweight agricultural. So it's by use case whether they're heavy duty or lightweight. So if I want pickleball, right? And I was actually playing pickleball yesterday, and the wind was blowing our ball around, and I saw your product. I'm like, it'd be really good to have a Windsock at the pickleball court I play at. I'm like, I might buy one. Who knows? This would be cool. And so here I've got this heavy duty versus lightweight, and I don't think that's a decision-making criteria for me. I think that's a function of my use case. So if I'm doing a construction Windsock, I'm going to get a heavy-duty Windsock. Let's see if that's true. I'm going to go into construction Windsock. So I can't choose between lightweight and heavy duty, so it just comes heavy duty, right? And let me do a search for pickleball. I did this earlier. So here I have a pickleball Windsock, a custom printed pickleball Windsock, and a sports club. The sports club. Yeah, see, that's a custom. So on here, you probably say pickleball also, right? I just saw badminton or something. Yeah, so pickleball. So you might want to think about, for when people are searching, you leave this for other courts and list all those other courts, but have people go to the pickleball one. When they search, they only see the pickleballs. Now, I don't understand here. So this looks like a custom, right? So if I click on this product, so imagine if I had the search results and I had filters, and it showed custom, novelty or whatever the heavy duty, lightweight, all those kind of things. So I click on this one here, which, so this product is really confusing because it's not customizable, right? And even here, it's in the collection customizable, Windsocks. By the way, I would not have this on your site. It's useless for customers. I would not have this. No one shares anymore. Clean up your product form a little bit with those things. But here, this product is the non-customizable, right? But it shows customizable. So crop those things out, right? Only show the images that are applicable. And, I've got 12-inch, 10-inch. Yeah, this is not fun. So there's a bunch of work you have to do, and it sucks that you have to do this work, right? Because there's a bunch of manual work, but you have to do it, right? So the first one is you've got these sizes in here. Get rid of that size, right? Because I click on 8-inch, and I shouldn't see 12-inch, right? So just remove the size, because, and then when I click on any one of these, right? So A, that's good. I see the A's. B, I see the B's. C, I see the C's. Now, what you also need to do is you need to have an image for every variant, literally every variant you have. Maybe the exception is you're not going to do it for the size one, right? So what you need is an image for A, B, and C, and then blue, green, and red. So you need 9 images. You need a blue A, a blue or a green A, and a green red. So when I click on red A, all I see is this image here without the dimensions shown, right? Unless you want to show the dimensions, but then you have to make 3 more images. So instead of 9 images, you need 27, right? But you need to, whenever I click on a combination, I should see just that combination, right? And that's why if you remove the size from the thing, you get rid of having to make 27, you get down to 9, because I assume the aspect ratios are the same regardless of size. So what we were looking at here, right, is we were on pickleball, and how confusing this is because, in A, you need the filters on your searches and your collections. But now this image, and it's the main image you picked, right, shows customized, but it's not a customizable product. So you got to get rid of all the customized images out of the non-customizable product. And then let's look at the customizable one. So here, are we not picking color? We pick size. Are we not picking an image that goes with the words? Or are they expected to do that? And then, so there's no instructions here on how to personalize this product. Let me see if I'm wrong in that. Oh, so yeah, you do have templates. Let's see what those look like. Oh, that's good. I don't know what's going on with this thing up here, but let's look at a template. That's not working for me. I'm not sure why. Oh, there we go. So what's the template here? Am I allowed to do anything I want on this space? Or, so am I sewing a plastic ring inside of this? Or do you do that, right? So if the template is just this, then give them just that, right? And so right now I'm assuming I can put anything I want around the whole thing, which is cool. That sounds great. Is that true or not? And then just show that. And you might want to make this in an Illustrator file or an SVG or something like that. And you might want to have them downloaded automatically. Let's see if I can show you an example here. Let's go to Charge Tech. We're still working on this site, so my first example may not have what I'm looking for. But if we go here, and I ask for custom branding, yes. File upload. See right here, you can download a template here. And we don't take them to another page, right? We show them the template right then. So, you could do something similar where you don't take them to the same, And it was a bunch of work for us to, because what they had in the site before was they had a page of templates for each of the products, and the customer had to go and figure it out, that kind of thing. And what you might want to do is have one file that shows all 3 sizes like this, and say, 8 by 10 or whatever the different sizes are. So, it's just one file they download kind of thing, and then they could see. Well, I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not. So I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself on that. But what we are looking at here, right? We're looking at our pickleball, right? So I search for pickleball. And, in the future, I want to see the photo that's right for this one. And I'm not a fan. Oh, there we go. 2 photos that aren't aligned. I knew I saw that somewhere. So they're not all the same size. So you need to make all your product images the same size. And the best size to do that with is square. Because let's look at this on mobile. So you got two across. You could do one across or two across. It's not bad either way. But you can see how small these images are, right? If you made them square, it might be better looking. I would do one across and make them square. Square is a nice compromise between desktop and mobile layout for product images. So let's go back to here. Like I said, I said in the beginning, I'm going to bounce around. I feel like I'm bouncing around a lot right now. So what we need to do in our navigation is make things cleaner and clearer, right? One decision at a time, right? And what you could do is you could say Windsocks, right? Start with Windsocks and just have them all there. And then maybe we talk about our use case, right? And you can have more than one way to navigate. And I'm going to show you an example of that. So let's go to Authentic Vintage Posters. All they sell is posters. The only product they have is posters, right? But what we do is you can start your shopping experience any way that you want. You can say, I just want new arrivals, right? Or I want to see, this is basically all posters. And then you can see we have filters over here. So you can pick your category, your size, and how old they are kind of thing. Or you could say, well, I want the cheaper ones, the under $100 ones, because they found that was important to their customers. And then you have the filters again. Or you can say, well, I want to see just things that are crate labels. These are actually kind of cool. And then, here's all the crate labels, and you can see the information about them there also. So the point being, you got to figure out how people are making decisions on your site. And when we first built this navigation, it looked very different, right? And, what Vince has done a really good job of, the owner of the store, is actually watching how people navigate and what order they make their decisions in. Right? For example, I have a client who sells bedding. We saw him before, Mulberry Parks, right? And one of the things we do there is we say, all right, the most important thing is your bed size, because I'm not, if you're buying sheets and you have a king size bed, I'm not going to show you twin sheets. I'm not going to show you full size sheets. I'm just going to show you king sheets. So for your customers, and a lot of stores think about it from how they're selling the products. Oh, we have, custom or non-custom. Or maybe the first thing is, what is your use case, right? Pickleball, construction, agriculture, right? So, the first thing on Windsocks might be pick your use case. And that's maybe not perfect, right? Maybe you need to have more than one way you start the shopping experience. Like, novelty, what's the use case for novelty or for the American and state ones, those kind of things, right? But you do have a lot of use cases here of aviation, marine, agriculture. Now, I actually don't know how different marine is. So is marine any different than construction, or are you just being smart and putting the same product under different headings for SEO purposes and to seem more authentic to your customers, right? So I think those are the same product, and the differences are images. If that is the case, that's really smart. I like that. Yeah, I'm thinking they're all the same, and you just got different photos. Like I said, I think that's really smart. I like that a lot. But what you could have, right, is for aviation, right? So aviation, I'm going to assume, is airports and not planes, right? So here we've got a custom aviation windsock, but they could also see their orange windsock, and they could also see their airport or their striped windsock. So if my use case was aviation, I'd see those three products. And there might even be some bespoke ones that work in there also. Maybe there's a novelty aviation one that would work well for them, like the aviation heavy-duty windsock. I don't know if that's the same as this one here or not. This one is not customized. That one is. Yeah, so it also looks like a lot of your products are just misclassified. Or, oh, wait a second. So this is striped. This is not. So I think you need a lot of work on decisions people are making, or the design that they're making, right? So this is, kind of cool and compelling. This looks very different, right? And so you got a solid color, you got a horizontal stripe, you got vertical stripes. That's 3 different styles, right? Which would be decisions you make here, right? And you're choosing color. What is the material color? That's not shown here. So one of the problems is I can't design my product the way that I see the choices here. I see all these choices, but I can't make those choices here. So you need to better define your products and allow the customer to choose what they want. And some of those things, you're only allowed 3, options here. But you could bring in a product options app that does those things. But the designing of the product is the product form doesn't allow me to do the things that the product photos are showing me are possible. So I think you need to do a lot of work on that part also. So let's go into detail on the product page for a minute. So your frame existing type. Why do I have an existing frame? And by the way, it's your existing frame type, I think, is the better way to say that. Your frame existing type. So, and what is a single hoop and an extended hoop? Now, I see here single hoop, and I love the fact you got this little, tip. Single hoop frames have only one hoop to which the windsock is secured. You only need to know the diameter of this hoop to purchase your windsock. Okay? Extended frame. Extended frames have 2 hoops connected to each other by spokes. So I guess that's a hoop in the back and the front end, I guess. This allows your windsock's throat to remain open and more responsive to slight wind gusts. You will need to let us know dimensions. So you need to let us know dimensions. Why aren't you asking them to tell you those dimensions here? Why isn't that an input in this, right? You probably need a product options app that allows you to do this kind of stuff, right? We were showing you before in Charge Tech, right? This is a product options app where if they say yes, right, we have some logic that says once they say yes to custom branding, then we allow them to upload the file kind of stuff. And you can have lots of different variations of those if-thens, right? So you could have if they pick extended, then you show the input for, frame size. But this is very confusing. And you're assuming that the customer has an existing frame type, which is an assumption, right? So if I'm here and I want to buy my brand new custom aviation windsock, and I'm like, I don't have an existing type, I feel like this product is not for me, and therefore it's time for me to leave, right? And that's just because of one word, right? Maybe it could be, design, frame type, single hoop, extended frame. Whether it's existing or not doesn't matter, right? So if I want to buy a new one and I want an extended frame because it's better for whatever reason for my use case, I get to choose that. But this makes me feel like I'm in the wrong place because I don't have an existing type. We also have this input box, which is very faint lines around it, so it's hard to tell where that box ends and starts. So a lot of your products are ill-defined in giving customers clear choices on what they're doing. Let's keep scrolling. So this text here, you got a whole bunch of text. It's just confusing as heck, right? And that's hard. Don't get me wrong, right? But what you want to do next is take that text and turn it into more consumable content. And this literally is what I did last night for this store here. So let's go to ortho bracing, to the Wave. So they sell cold therapy machines. And what we did last night on the Wave is they had paragraphs of text, right? And what we did is we turned those paragraphs of text into icons and bullet points, right? So there's one set of them, and this was a paragraph of text, and we put bullet points in there instead with a bold heading and then content after it. So that this is much more skimmable and consumable for people. Same thing on the instructions. Easy as 1, 2, 3, right? Step 1, fill with ice and water. Step 2, connect the pad. Step 3, start therapy, right? So you have, if I remember correctly, easy as 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's not 1, 2, 3. Those are options. Yeah, that's... So upload your logo or artwork in any format, kind of similar to the templates. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have them call you, right? Well, don't get me wrong. Them calling you is never a problem. I just wouldn't recommend it put in front of them unless you absolutely need to do that. And that comes back to you have to make this easier for people and explain the process. So this text here, right? I would think about how to make that more consumable with some graphics, some icons, and those kind of things. How to order could be an infographic. I like this. Do you have a single, and it should be, do you want or the differences between a single hoop frame and an extended double hoop frame? That would also be a great infographic. You don't want to take people to another page to buy this product, right? Because now I'm kind of lost where I was, right? And let me just see here. Well, here's the crazy thing, right, is the type of frame matters when buying a Windsock. How come you don't have a photo? Simple as a photo. Side by side, single hoop and double hoop or whatever those things are, right? You're putting too much into words and not enough into photos and even videos, right? We haven't talked about video yet. I won't go into video too much, but what I always tell my clients is you cannot have enough videos on your site, and because everybody consumes content in different ways. So, some people will read, most don't, right? Most people will skim text, which is why you need to make it skimmable. A lot of people look at images. That's why infographics are so great. I've said those a couple times already. And videos are absolutely fabulous also. So you need all those types of content, right? And that's hard, right? Building all that content is hard, and you're not going to do it overnight. But the great thing is you've already got all this content you've created. Now you get to repurpose it. And literally that's what happened here, right? So we had paragraphs of text here yesterday. And I'll show you, right? Let's go to another machine, the Cube, which we haven't done this process to yet. And similar format used for each of these pages. But here you can see the product details don't have all those icons, lots more text, right? Here we have just straight paragraphs, no bullet points, no bolded text, and more paragraphs kind of thing. So, and then on the instructions page, remember we have the simple as 1, 2, 3 and all that kind of stuff. Here we just had paragraphs and menus. So it wasn't as clean and as easy, right? So our goal here, this is what we're doing. We've got to do it with all these different products, and it's a bunch of work, right? I probably spent 4 hours yesterday taking this one product from what you saw a second ago on the other product, because I had to go make icons and all that kind of stuff, and then read the text and figure out how are we going to bucketize this one? How are we going to bucketize this one? Not easy to do. It's a lot of thinking, right? And thinking is hard sometimes. So, but that work, right? Now what we've done is we made it easier for customers to see things, right? Oh, I care about money. Oh, outstanding value, yada, 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 right? Legally compliant. So it's easier for me to skim and find out what's important for me and find that information now, right? Hard to do, but the great thing is you got a lot of that starting content already in place, right? So we're critiquing the page here, right? So the product page. And I see a lot of this, right? Lots of tables, which are completely confusing to me. And then, so how many people are buying in bulk, right? And on some of your product pages, you have the table right here. I don't know what app you're using for bulk purchasing, if it's Bold or another one. But a lot of them had the table right there. No, this one doesn't have it. Let's find one that does. So first question is how many people are buying in bulk, right? If it's not, greater than a certain percentage, and that certain percentage might be 10, 25%, then why are you spending so much time talking about this bulk stuff, right? Oh, I'm not finding it. I thought I saw some tables up here near the product form with bulk pricing. I'm just randomly jumping around trying to find that right now. And I'm not. So maybe it was on one product, or I just was misremembering, or maybe it was on different types of products like flags or something. Let's see. No, I don't know where it was. But let's go back to the point I was making. I think we're on aviation Windsock, right? These tables are massive. They're confusing. And, all right, so here's the diameter, here's the length. So I can see for 36 inches, right, I can see my pricing. Oh, so each of them match. Because I saw one product where these sizes up here didn't match the table down there. So you just want to make sure that they're accurate. And this table is just so much, so much. Maybe we just, I'm going to assume for a second that, 104 to 65, that's the same percentage for every one of these. So what you could have is a simple table that says buy 2 to 4, save 25%. Buy 5 to 9, save 30%. Buy 10 to 20, save 40%. So you don't need this whole big array of things. And let's actually see. Well, that's interesting. Here we talk, the most of the content on this page is dedicated to buying in volume, which I assume is not the dominant use case scenario. But I can't buy in volume. There's no quantity box. So if I add it to the cart, can I do that there? Yes, I can change the quantity here. Now what I want to see, and I saw a promo pop up there for a second, and now it's gone. If I edit cart, yeah, buy one or more to get $39 per item. So this one isn't showing me my discount. Now let's see if this one's. Yeah, your JavaScript's wacky there. It's on hover. I'm not sure. That's weird. I don't like that. So buy one or more to get $39 off. So this one's showing a discount, right? Yeah. See, I don't like the way it's doing. I don't like telling people they're not getting a good deal on their current purchase, right? And I can understand the logic. Oh, we're just going to convince them to go over that next threshold. And there are actually studies that show, when you show people that, let's say you have free shipping at $100 and they have, $70 in the cart, like $30 more for free shipping. They're like, forget it. I don't get free shipping. Everybody else does. I'm leaving, right? So that kind of incentive actually decreases conversion most of the time. Not in every case. Every store is different. But that kind of thing is not a best practice that I follow at all. I do like letting them know that there are benefits, and you're showing that elsewhere. Like I said, having a short table that shows, buying, 2 or more saves you 25%. I love that, but not at the point where all you want them to do now is click that checkout button, and now you're giving me a reason not to click the checkout button. Like, oh, I'm not getting the best deal? Forget it. I'm going elsewhere, kind of thing. So, but I do like the fact that, so I got a price here. I'm trying to get my stuff out of the way here and see if I can click this. I want to see what happens when okay, so here's a cart page. Those quantity buttons are really hard to click. Yes, so you're doing the bulk, right? You have an app that's doing it. I just wouldn't do some of the best practices you're doing there. I think we've talked enough about bulk for now. So let's go back to our custom aviation one we were talking about. Custom aviation. Talked about this. Talked about this. We've talked about this. We've talked about this. What size should I get? That seems to me like it should be higher up on the page. I think it's way more important than volume discounts and that kind of stuff. But I could be wrong. And so let's read what this says. Windsocks are available in all sizes. Our templates list common sizes. Our templates that are not available on this page, right? So I just change that wording a little bit. Like, it has nothing to do with your templates, right? This product is available in I would just say, boom, 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 6 different sizes or whatever the number is. And I think what you're leading up to is you'll do any size, which we're going to talk about. But if you wish to make one in a specific size, we can certainly create one to your specifications, right? So that sounds like a separate product to me, right? If you want one of our can sizes, Boom, boom, boom. Great. Well, here's another thing. Why would someone want a separate size? And maybe it's because they have a frame that exists that's a different size. Because this is one of those things where if you try to accommodate every use case possible, it makes it confusing for everybody. So if you try to take every 1% use cases scenario and put that into your product, it makes it confusing for the 97% that are doing the same thing over and over again. So those 1% use cases, confuse the experience for the rest of the 90%, right? So, and there's no right or wrong way to solve for that. But if you have custom size, if you have custom sizes also, that might be its own separate product. Get your own custom size Windsock. And maybe you don't need one of those for every use case kind of thing, but people that my existing frame happens to be 27 inches by 100 or something like that. That could be a separate product where they're actually putting in those dimensions. My diameter is this, my length is this, I have single or extended frames, all that kind of stuff. You could get all that information right then in that product because it's a separate product, right, for people. So there might be a custom size Windsock, basically. So let's keep reading what we were reading before, which was the size one, right? But if you wish to make one a specific size, we can certainly create one to your specifications. We talked about that. Industrial windsocks correspond to our windsock frame sizes. So this is an aviation windsock, right? So I would, just make that bespoke, make this content bespoke to this product, aviation. Correspond to our windsock frame sizes available on the site. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that. So I wouldn't link off to something else right here, right? Our goal here is to make them, while they've picked a product. If we've done a good job building on our navigation paradigm, then we should have a lot of confidence when they're on a product page that they're on the right product, right? So we don't want to take them off the product page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 links here taking us off the product page. Don't do that, right? What you want to do is bring as much of this content onto the page, right? So this generic for more do not have that at all. Contact us. Now, you could have that in certain situations. Let me show you one where we've done, I think in Charge Deck. Do we? No, we don't do it. We don't do it on the product page. I think we might do it on the industry page. And this is like for your aviation. Look what we did here for these guys, right? So conferences, right? So charging solutions for conferences. So you could have windsocks for aviation. We have a lifestyle photo, not a product photo of a conference. You could have a lifestyle photo of an airport, right, kind of thing. And then we show the different, products that work for that thing. What I wanted to see here, and there we have something missing we're working on. And then here we have, the contact us. So you can have, the contact us. They also show their live chat. You've got a live chat on yours and phone numbers. So, they got any questions you can do. But notice this is not a product page, right? This is a industry page. So your aviation page could have things like that. But at your product page, like I said, you should have more confidence when there's a product page. They don't have questions. If you're doing things as optimally as you want, as we can here, right? So what windsocks size should I get? Was the question, right? This did not answer that question. Why do people have different sizes? So let's assume for a second, right? So if you have an existing frame, the obvious answer is you get the size that matches your frame. But let's say I just built myself an airport in my backyard, and I'm going to put up a windsock, right? What size should I get? You have not answered that question for me. So, and it's an important question, right? It's one of your product choices. I do agree that you should help your customer make that decision, right? And maybe, size. Maybe the sizes are for a couple different things. One might be higher. If you have higher winds where you're at, you want smaller size so it doesn't get beat up. Maybe another one is for visibility, right? If your airport is landing 747s, you're going to have a different size windsock because your runway is so much longer than if you're landing helicopters, right? That kind of stuff. So explain to people what size they should get. Give them that information. Smaller ones are more durable, maybe. I'm just guessing, right? bigger ones are more, visible from farther away, right? And I'll give you a real example, right? So this here is my cabin. It's an Airbnb. It's another business of mine, right? But it gets really windy here, and I actually think a windsock would be kind of cool, so you could see, the wind kind of thing. Maybe at the top of the mountain or something like that. Right? This is actually on the believe it or not, the property is this whole freaking mountain. It's kind of cool. But if you want people to see your windsock from down in the valley, right? This is half mile away here. Half mile visibility to the windsock. Or let's say I put it at the mountain peak, right? And it's people, you want to see it from a mile away. Well, if you want to be visible from a mile away with a windsock, let's bring it back up. Let's bring your sizes. Then you need the 24 or 36 inch one, right? That kind of information, right, would help people make that decision. So you might have a little table, or I'm always going to say infographics, right? I'm a huge fan of infographics. Let me actually see if I can show you an example of one. Did we make one for these guys? If not, we'll go to Rep to Chip. No infographic there, but we have lots of videos for them. But let's go to Rep to Chip to show you an infographic we made, because it explains something visually that we could have done in text, but it's so much more powerful when we do it visually. So these guys sell coconut substrate for the cage, for your tank and turtle and that kind of stuff. And they are available in 12 quart, right? And you can see here when you click on, we're not showing it anymore there. Okay. We took that off for whatever reason. But the more you buy, the more you save, right? So here you can see save 20%, 17%. And what we did is we have an infographic that says the per quart cost. So if you buy the 144 quart package, you're spending 90 cents per quart. If you buy the 12 quart per package, you're spending $1.66 per quart. So by buying in volume, you're saving almost twice as much money, right, on a per quart basis. So this infographic, the point is, visually, this is easier to explain in an infographic than in a table, right? So a lot of times that we have tables and such, like a table for visibility or for what wind they can do, it's harder to make that into an infographic. But if you can, it can be more useful for people to look and easily understand what it is they're looking at doing. So custom reviews, I love. I don't know where this purple came from, if that's a brand color. Purple and yellow, purple and gold usually go together, but I haven't seen that anywhere else. Now, the you may also like. I hate Shopify's default you may also like, right? But I love Shopify's ability to customize that. So if you get the product and search app that we talked about before, right? The one that is talked about here, easy yet powerful filters in your Shopify store. Then that same app gives you, I think it's this one here, recommended products done right, episode 119. So what we do in this one is I show you a couple different ways to do recommended products, and one of them is using that app, right? So what you can do with that filter, which is a free app from Shopify, what you can do with that app is you can say, I only want to show, per product, you can create what's called a meta field, which is explained in that podcast. And then I think it works in the app without a meta field. You can say, for this specific product, the custom aviation windsock, I want to show blah, 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 and blah, right? And that could be the windsock frame, which I don't agree with. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it could also be the non-custom aviation one, the orange one, the one with stripes, right? The other aviation one. So don't just show generic. Don't let Shopify, because you're not doing this actively. Don't let Shopify just show things, right? Pick for your product things that are, other alternatives for that product, and totally be willing to show nothing at all if I'm on the California state flag windsock. Maybe don't show anything else because I don't care about Utah or Arizona, right? Kind of thing. So that's just some thoughts there. So I think that is that page. I'm just going to look at another. Oh, that's the other thing I want to talk about. So here we talked about it. The windsock frame, right? We also showed windsock frame here. Why aren't we selling windsocks and frames together? It's harder, It's much harder to do. But why aren't we? Right? So now let's say I buy a Windsock, right? And what you could do if I buy a Windsock, I add it to my cart, right? You could say, hey, do you want to get a frame for this? There's a whole bunch of ways to do that, right? And I keep referring to my podcast because I make podcast topics about things I think stores need to listen to, right? And I have one. It's called Linear Shopping Experiences. Let's go back another page, and if I can't find it here, I'll do a search for it. So let's do a search for Linear Shopping Experiences. I don't know if you can hear Chewy. Chewy's my little 3.5-pound Chihuahua who sits on my lap at all times, and he's trying to get my attention right now. So if you hear noise, it's him. So Linear Shopping Experiences podcast. Oh, it's all the way back in episode 61. So I've listened to this one also, right? Because what this says is a lot of times we do things in parallel that should be done in serial. Like if someone says, I want a hamburger at McDonald's, they don't say, would you rather have fries? They wait for them to order the hamburger, and then they say, would you like fries with that, right? So, and sorry, now Fizz is trying to get my attention. He sits in the chair next to me all day. So just put him down so he gets some water probably. So with your Windsocks and your Windsock frames, you could probably do it in parallel and linear, right? So if someone adds one of these to their cart, you could ask the question, hey, do you also want to look at frames, right? And you can also do, let's go to ortho, right? So what we do in ortho is, this is a cold therapy machine that needs ice, right? So one of the obvious products to buy with this is the reusable ice packs. So what we do here is we actually build this little custom thing. If they check the box, it'll add both products to the cart at the same time. So it's not a bundle. It adds them both, right? There's no savings and that kind of stuff, but it adds them both. What we do for other stores, right? So I think with your Windsocks, you could do this. The however for you is your Windsocks are complex because you have sizes, right? So they have to make sure they pick the exact right size, which we can probably fix that or come up with another way to do that, right? So the other way to do that is a linear shopping experience. I'm trying to think of one that we've got going on. Let's see if Apex has it. So if I go to Apex and I order one of these kits they have, let's see if this one has it. I hope it has what I'm looking for here for you. Yeah, so we didn't take them to the cart, right? You notice I just added some to my cart, and it took me to another page. It says, do you want a clamp also? And you can say, no, I don't want a clamp. Or, yes, I do. I want one of these and, one of these kind of thing. You make your clamp choices there, right? So instead of when they add it to the cart, we didn't take them to the cart. And I'm a big fan, by the way, of the cart being its own page, not the fly-out thing that you have. Because then you can also, right, when I add it to the cart, you could also do merchandising on this page, right? Like here we're saying, hey, we have everything in stock. There's a military discount. I like cart pages instead of the flyouts, and I'm not a fan of flyouts, especially on mobile phones. So the point here, right, is when someone purchases one of these, you could take them to the Windsock frames. Now, let's see what your Windsock frame choices look like. So it's one page. Yeah, so see here, size. Size is simple. It's 6, 10, 13. Oh, you got two choices here. So I got a 10 and 10 with double bearing. But only the 10 has two choices, which is weird, right? So the 13 doesn't have a double ball bearing. Why does the 10? And why does the 10 give me choice? And if I'm buying the 36-inch, I only have one choice. Not double ball bearing frame. It's just 36. So why doesn't this just say 36? So if I was you, I would just have the size be the diameter, and I would not offer two choices in the 10-inch. So it's just 6, 10, 13, 18, 24, 36. If they order a 6, they get a single bearing. If they order a 36, they get a double bearing. And you might explain that later on, but that's what I would do. So what you could do, right, is there's a number of ways to do this, and there's no one way, there's no right or wrong, and you could do more than one, right? So you could have on this page. Oh, we're going to talk about that page before we finish this, hopefully. So your frames, I don't think said anything about extended frames. Your Windsock frames, I think, are all single hoop. Correct me if I'm wrong. So anything you're selling that's new, extended frame is not an option, right? And how many extended frames do you have? Are those separate products, right? So a couple things you could do about your Windsock frames and your Windsocks. On this page here, you could have them choose a Windsock frame, and you could have, like we did in ortho, where they're choosing a size, right? So they have a drop down, right? Or you could have it be the choices. In fancy code, you could have it mapped to whatever size choice they're doing here, right? So if they pick the 6, they automatically get the 6-inch, frame. So the checkbox could be, do you want to buy a frame? Yes or no? Yes, right? Now that becomes an issue from inventory management, but I'm not going to try to solve that problem for you here. It is a real problem. It's something to think about. But you could just have a little, yes, no for frame. You could also have, once they purchase it, you take them to the frame page. And then you could also have a bundle, right? So I keep showing you my podcast episodes. Another podcast episode I recently did is bundles. So Shopify just launched a new bundle app, right? So bundles in your Shopify store. Watch that one, right? So you could have a separate product that shows the Windsock and the frame together. You can build bundles that do that, and that handles inventory. There's some complexity to it also from a customer experience standpoint. But I would think about, how to, so let's say, I want to put a Windsock here at the top of my little mountain, right? This is Blossom Peak, by the way, in Three Rivers, California. This is Sequoia National Park back here. And so I call this Little Blossom, right? I named that because this is Blossom Peak. So what if on and Blossom Peak's on my property, Blossom is not. So what if I want to put a big Windsock up here just to draw attention to myself, right? And I want to get one of those big orange ones, your 36-inch kind of thing. So I've got to, you're not walking me through the process of, all right, get your big fancy, orange Windsock and get the biggest size. All right, and now I add that to my cart. And then I got to go over to Windsock frames and do that separately. If I can get that bundled together, and also something you're not doing here, and maybe you are elsewhere, right? Is like, how do I install these and that kind of stuff. Actually, I do think you have that in your blog articles. I looked at your blog articles; those look pretty good. But so now I got to click the 36 and add that to my cart, right? Now. All right, so you got some installation information there, I think, right? And when I'm on frames, I wouldn't be showing these, right? Actually, for this one, you might have a promo that shows the blog articles about, the making it, installing it kind of stuff. So I think you understand what I'm talking about there is walk people through that decision-making process or combine them, right? And hold their hands a little bit more. Like in one extreme case I'm going to show you here, Cambiambi. What they do is they sell sandals, and you buy the straps and the bases separately, right? So we actually walk them through that process. So step 1, pick your bases, right? And then step 2, pick your straps. And if you pick, I'm going to pick the, straps. It says, do you want to add more straps? Because you can have, more than one. So we walk them through that whole process, step by step by step. A little bit of work to make that happen, but it is totally possible. So for you, can you walk them through these steps, right? Now, I'm not going to talk about flags. I've talked about this enough. I want to talk about this navigation because, like I said before, it's really confusing. So first one, custom Windsocks. I click on that. I'm on a page that talks about full color custom Windsocks. Okay. Safety oriented branding. I don't understand what that means. This, get in touch, buy now, top selling Windsocks, and it's not a Windsock. It's not custom, right? So this collection has nothing to do with what I clicked on, or not nothing, but it's not. I said custom and Windsock, and I'm not seeing custom and Windsock, right? So you got to move down the funnel with your customer, right? Gift card, same example. So I didn't see that elsewhere in your site. I don't know where that's at. That's under novelty or something like that. So this page, right? This is a shopping link, right? It's supposed to be a shopping link, right? It's not an education link. It's a shopping link. So this page doesn't know what it's doing. Here I got a shopping thing. Customize your Windsock now. I would call it design your Windsock, but it takes me to the custom printed. Yeah, so I'm just confused on this page. What I would do here, right, is, so on custom Windsocks, well, I think you should start your navigation by use type, right? Like you saw in Charge Tech, right? We had this thing we built out by industry. We got all these different industries. Now we're doing this for SEO purposes, right? So we want to be, and for marketing and email marketing and advertising. So we want to they're actually collected email addresses at an educational conference. So now they're going to send an email out to the educators. They're actually IT professionals that work in education. And this will be the landing page they take them to, not this one here, but this one here, so that, they get a bespoke experience. This is all education stuff they're showing kind of stuff. So I think, yours might be start off the same way. Think about, do you do it by industries, where it's aviation, marine, agricultural, construction, oil and gas, outdoor, golf, tennis, pickleball, beach, American and state flags, and novelty, right? If those were your buckets, right? Instead of custom and then stock, right? Let them pick their industry or use case first, and then you show them all their options. And if you did that, right, your aviation page would look more like this, where, you see an airport with a Windsock in the background or something like that. Maybe you show some customers, by the way, so social proof would be really nice. And then you show the products that are appropriate just for aviation. Those could be custom and non-custom. It could be frames and that kind of stuff. But that I think is probably the way to start your shopping experience, right? And that way you get rid of these pages that I'm not liking. Like the stock Windsocks is customizable. They're just not mapping up. So if we do it by industry, I would start with that, because I think that'll clean things up a lot for your customers. Show them all the choices that are appropriate for them, right? Because the custom and stock, that's a you differentiation, not a customer differentiation. Like if I own an airport, or I have a hangar or whatever, it's going to be easier just to say, hey, airport, right? Aviation, pickleball. Now. And another thing that's genius about what you've done, right, is I actually search for Windsock for pickleball, right? And if we go back to the search results, oh, that's interesting. They do this to me every time. So when I first searched for this, it didn't show these shopping ads. It showed normal keyword ads. And let me show you what I mean by that. So let's go to a guest session, because now Google knows I'm looking for shopping things, so it's changed the ad results for me. So let's just go Windsocks for pickleball. So yeah, there's the sponsored link there, right? And it's still showing shopping ads, but it showed these ads also. So the point being, right, is here you are, right? This is a product, this is a product. So by having these products that are industry specific, like you're doing, you're showing up at the top in the organic search, right? So I think that strategy that you're doing, and it'll only be enhanced by what we're talking about with having these industry level pages or solution based pages kind of thing. And then on that, what you could also do, right? If they land on the pickleball collection or page, you could have an article or two. Let's see if you have any blog articles about pickleball. And maybe you're not showing blog articles in your search. Maybe you are. So if you're not, I would add that in. And one of the things I'm going to say here is, and you're actually proving me wrong in this case here. You're actually showing more photos besides just Windsocks on your blog articles, which is good, right? For example, I like, this is not a Windsock photo. And this is in agriculture, so that's nice. I'm not seeing that as much on the site as I am in the blog articles. Your photography, oh, there we go. Use of Windsocks in outdoor sports. Let's see if it says the word pickleball here. I don't know if it, oh, there's pickleball, kind of thing. So, so you could have a pickleball blog article also. So you're targeting them with your pickleball landing page, which is a collection page or a page, however you decide to build it. You've got your pickleball products and you've got your pickleball articles, which might be why it's so good to use it. So then on your pickleball collection or page, you could show those pickleball articles and those pickleball products. But once you get down to the pickleball product level, stop showing the blogs because they've moved farther down the funnel and they're looking at specific products. We're going to keep them focused on that. Hopefully that all makes sense. But what I liked about, because one of the questions you originally had is how can you, do as well with your new, novelty or non-custom products as you're doing with your custom products. I think that you're already doing some really good stuff. And I'm going to show you another example of how we're doing this with somebody else here in a second is, you want to get as many of these industries and use cases as possible, right? Maybe we should have, Windsocks at playgrounds, right? Because there's, sand whips up in kids' eyes and messes with them. I don't know if that's true or not, right? But what you're doing already is you're adding use cases. And pickleball is a very popular thing. Tennis and golf, very popular. Maybe there's smaller, fringer ones also that you can keep doing it too, right? So like for marine, for example, let's go back to your site. I don't think I've looked at your marine products. I don't know if that's for docks or for boats, right? Yeah, so here's an example of what I'm talking about is I said marine, and I don't see any boats or any docks. I don't know if this is for a boat or for a dock, right? And let's just go through all your photos. Yeah, so I don't know if marine means boat or dock. Now, it probably means dock, right? But is it meant for personal docks? Is it meant for, the Port of Los Angeles, kind of thing? So having photography that shows your product in use and situation and video of that and like video that explains it and yada, 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 be really, really valuable. And help people visualize what you're doing here kind of thing. So trying to remember where I was in this conversation. Oh, and in these different industries, right? So I think that's really good. And to show you, like with these guys, what we did is, so they have coconut substrate. We talked about that already, right? So what we just did is, they took it down for holiday. Let's see if we got it down here. Huh. I was just going to show you this cool thing we just did last week, and they took it down for holiday. Not sure why, but let's go look at blogs, animals. So what we're doing here is we are making a page for every type of animal that can use the substrate that these guys sell, right? And total aside, these are all AI generated images. And then if you go into any one of them, let's just go into the Greek tortoise. So we talk about the Greek tortoise. We talk about more AI generated images about the Greek tortoise. We show the benefits, and we show all this other stuff. And then we also get into other ones. We show the products that work for that animal. That's why we've taken it down there. They're where we work in this one. So they took it down off the navigation. But the point being is, one of the SEO strategies Reptachip has is we are going to make a page for every single animal type we can think of, so that if somebody searches for how to care for my, let's see if I can show you amphibians here. So these are 3 different types of frogs, and we're going to add more types of frogs to this that people take care of, right? So, maybe there's a Malaysian purple frog, right? So we're going to have something for the Malaysian purple frog. And, yeah, you can see this is still under work. That's why they took it down. So for you, same thing. The question you asked earlier was how do you bring in traffic and all that good stuff. I like the idea of the strategy you've already started doing of these solution-based things. And I would say go as fringe as you can get with that. Now, you may not have every single example on your navigation, right? You may just keep your big buckets on your navigation. But if we did this one in a blog just so that we could do this level of nav that we're working on, right? So we can do reptiles, and then we can say snakes, and then we can say boas, and it shows the different types of boas, kind of thing. So, and go as fringe as you can with that is the Uber point, right? I love the fact that you're number one in pickleball because you're the only one with a product title that says pickleball Windsock, right? Now let's just do a search for Windsock for tennis court and see if that's more competitive. Sponsored. So 10S shows up before you, but you're number 2 in that, right? And then if we do pickleball or Windsock for golf. Oh, golf pin win flag. That's cool. That's you. It's you. Now, see, this one says Custom Sports Club. You want your golf ones showing up more. So you'll just be working on that. Now, let's just search for Windsock for soccer. So you show up first, but if you had one that was for soccer field. So one of the things I would do if I was you is I would do a Google search in Google AdWords, right? Let's just search for Windsock. I would go into AdWords and put this in and see what keyword phrases people search for, right? And usually we can see this down at the bottom of the search results, right? Windsock price, Windsock uses, cycling, right? So you need a cycling one. But if you go into Google AdWords, they'll show you different things that people search for with Windsock. And I would, any industry they have, I would come up with a product or at least a page for it. You don't have to have a product necessarily, but you have to have a page, right? So on, this solution here, right, when we go into the products, so this is boa substrates for Central American boas, but this is the same product. It's not a Central American boa product. These are the generic. They only have like 8 of them. And we just show the right combination of those 8 for each of the animals that we're doing. So we built a blog article around the animal and kept the products generic. And you can do that in addition to what you're doing with the aviation ones and those kind of things. I think you should do both, right? But your super fringe ones like cycling, you might only have your generic products that you use for cycling, but you build a page or an article, however you want to do that, for cycling to capture that unique query keyword phrase in. And going back to driving traffic to your store, right? So let's go back to pickleball where you were ranking really well. So here we are. We're number one on pickleball, which is great. But you're not number one in ads. So you're not paying for ads. Now you have your feed already set up. So here, so you've either using the Google channel, which is probably the way you're doing it from your Shopify store, and you're sending your product straight to. Now notice, you've got this aspect ratio image issue we talked about before of things in different sizes and all. But so here's you, here's you, here's you. You're the first three products, which is fabulous for pickleball. Fabulous, because you're the only one with a pickleball product, right? Or that it specifically says pickleball in the title. So in addition to that, though, because you've got this feed here, you could be up here. And that's a pay to play, right? So these are the ads, right? And these ads are the ones that show up on this page also, right? So when people search for this, you're number one there, which is great, but wouldn't you also want to be number one here? So you could pay, and you start paying. You can do that right inside a Google Merchant. And it's easier to manage this type of ad campaign than the Google AdWords ad campaign, because the ad creative is made by Google based on your product feed, right? You can't change this content here. So all you have to do is say, I want to start spending money on that. So as you're building this stuff out, you might want to think about, do you want to start putting money into these shopping ads through Google Merchant to see if that can increase your traffic also? Because being number one in here is great, but being number one here is also great. It's an and, not an or, right? All right, so I think I've covered it. Oh, it's an hour and a half we've been going. You're probably not even listening anymore. So I think I've talked more than enough. And there's lots of feedback. Overall, you got all the pieces, right? That's the beautiful thing. Everything you need is on the table. Not everything you need. You need infographics, better photography, and that kind of stuff. But you've got all these products and all that kind of stuff. You just need to present them better and make the user experience cleaner for people. Increase your brand. We talked a lot about that in the beginning, and then go from there. Now, you did ask about pricing, and pricing is really hard. But here's what I will say. The higher your brand, the more you get to charge. If you want to be cost competitive, if you want to be the cheapest out there, that's just a race to the bottom. All right? You're going to fail at that. Well, not that you're going to fail at that, but a race to the bottom is only won by the biggest players, the cheap Chinese manufacturers, right? And if you're making custom products like you're doing, this is another point about being in America, right? Your custom products, like I said, I'm bouncing around here. Your custom products are made in America. So if I order this, made by you, it's going to ship to me quicker because you're here in the States. Where if I order this from a Hong Kong or a Chinese manufacturer, they might make it, put it on a boat, and then it takes 3 weeks to get to me, kind of thing. So that's another thing you need to be emphasizing in the fact that you're in America, and if you're in whatever state you're in, like if you're in a good state, not that there's any bad states, but I have clients who say, hey, we're made in Maine. You don't want to say, hey, we're made in whatever, like some people hate California. I'm in California. Some people hate California, right? So you may not want to say made in California. But if you're like, you said Mountain Time, I think. So if you're in Colorado or something, nobody hates Colorado. So I would say made in Colorado, or at least made in the United States. But the other point is, and now I forgot where I was. We were talking about ordering this and shipping and that kind of stuff and brand. I don't know where I was. I went off on a tangent and lost myself. But you've got enough of the pieces on the table. You got products. Oh, pricing. That's what we were talking about, pricing. So pricing's hard. That said, price is usually not the issue, right? So I would do a better job in making the purchase experience clearer, simpler, more intuitive, more complete. Right? And by more complete, we talked before about missing elements here and that kind of stuff, so that I can make all the choices I want to make, like the color, the stripes, and all that kind of stuff. I can do all that stuff, work on that shopping experience before I worry about pricing, right? You probably have priced, based on your competition, and that's fine for right now. You can always, play with pricing later. And I'll show you a real example of the shopping experience thing, right? So we just migrated this store a couple months ago, and they do custom embroidery, right? So, and not that you're going to do this same solution, but I want to show you an idea, right? of making the shopping experience better. So what it used to be, so let's look at a diaper set here and find one that's customizable. Right here you can see we got a filter, customizable. All right, so this one's monogrammable. There we go. So now what we can do, right, is we can say, once it fully comes up, do you want to personalize this with a name or a monogram? My internet's been having a problem the past 24 hours. I gotta go reboot my modem. So here, right, if I say name, we now get a little configurator. And if I say monogram, we now, I gotta pick a script before the monogram shows up, right? But this, not that you need the same thing, because you need a design file to be uploaded kind of thing. But the point is, they didn't have any of this before. Right? They had a spreadsheet or an image that showed all the different fonts. And it was really confusing. Like, some fonts were for the name and other fonts were for the monogram. Some colors were available, some weren't by product. So what we did is now, this is a pink product. So we said we're only going to allow pink or white as the monogram color. So, and then, I can say, well, I want a name and I want that to be, Austin, and I want it in this font. So we just gave people tools, and they get to see all the options that are appropriate for this product. So if we go into a boys product, that is, probably going to be, let's pick a blue one here, right? Now, if we pick the name on this one, you can see the colors that are allowed are white. Oh, just went away. I'm going to go reboot my router in a minute. Now we allow different colors, right? Now the fonts are, I believe, the same, but they, Melissa could have set them up differently if she wanted to for her store. But we're very clear on what your options are here and all your choices. And this type of stuff here, like when you pick a custom one, letting them pick stripes and colors and all that kind of stuff, and then upload their file, I think that type of stuff will really help you out. So before I worry about price, I would provide a better service that shows all the options more clearly to customers, and then see how that affects your conversion. All right? So hopefully that's some good actionable feedback for you if you're still listening. And happy to talk through any of this stuff down the road if you want to. In the email I send you with this, I'll have a link where you can set up time if you want to talk more. And if you want me to help you with all this stuff, I can absolutely help you. I think I'm pretty good at making things logical and more organized. And give you a real example, the store here that I think we launched in June from a different platform, they actually saw a doubling of their conversion rate with the whole site redesign. And that's not that usual, right? But, and the store owner said it because we did so much work to make, the buckets that they had, the navigation, the choices you were making were very unclear in the past. And I spent a lot of time trying to understand their product catalog, get inside of the decision-making that the customers are making, and how to structure the site to be much more clear, much more methodical, much more logical, step-by-step for them. So happy to help you out with that if you want. Hopefully this is helpful. Thanks for watching.